one language, many cultures.
Please join us in welcoming
Helen-Doron!
This is a very special occasion. It was instigated and inspired by Anne Gordon. Anne was adamant that after 25 years we have a special story to tell, and it should be used as a time for us to join together in celebration, motivation, and inspiration. I myself, believe it or not, am not much of an occasions person. I like to keep a low profile and just keep getting on with it. But this isn't just a story about me. This is a story of a group of people who came together to promote something revolutionary that could change the lives of children and families. This is a celebration of every teacher and every franchisee in this hall, especially those of you who've been with me over many years. This is about us, and it's well worth celebrating. My talk today is a different look at the way Helen-Doron Early English started, where it is, and where it's going. It involves a short review of events and goes on to examine our moral role as effective teachers of English in today's world. A teacher says to his student, "Billy, name 2 pronouns." "Who, me?" replies Billy. "Oh," said the teacher, "very good." Sometimes one gets it right by accident. My enterprise wasn't an accident, but it came out very naturally and effortlessly. It was 1985 when I stumbled over what I deemed to be the truth of how to teach babies and children spoken English, and indeed any oral language. It was so obvious to me that I didn't realize that no one else was doing it. It all started when I took Ella, 4 years old, to Suzuki violin classes, December 1984. In fact, I was holding a 6-day-old baby in my arms, with her dumb, in the first lesson. In the Suzuki method, children learn to make music first and learn to read music later. From Dr. Suzuki's perspective, what had gone wrong with traditional music teaching methods was that they forced children to read notes. Notes aren't music, he insisted. It would be like forcing a child to read a book before he's allowed to speak. For me, this was a revelation. I thought, if there's a mother tongue way to teach music, why don't we have a mother tongue way to teach language? If Suzuki is teaching the language of music, why aren't we teaching the music of language? The idea was intensely exciting, particularly as my BA had included a course in this specialty area of child language acquisition. Acquisition, not learning, acquisition. I had enjoyed this course very much. I hadn't realized at the time that it held the key to my future business. This happened when I was thinking about returning to the workforce. After being a full-time mother for over 5 years, I was looking for a career or business that interested me. And I was inspired by the simplicity and the elegance of the Suzuki method, and I began considering those concepts to some sort of English teaching. I looked around and I saw how Israeli children were struggling to learn English. It confirmed everything that Dr. Suzuki had said about learning music. That is, schools were trying to teach reading and writing at the same time as verbal language acquisition. The children were struggling, not through lack of intelligence or motivation, but because reading and writing are inherently very different skills to speaking Initially, I assumed that someone else had to be out there doing it. But I found out that the same traditional methods were the only ones being used. And they started too late, and they enforced too many conflicting skills at the same time. But I kept looking. After all, if it wasn't here in Israel, despite the obvious need, then surely the program existed elsewhere. To my surprise, there didn't seem to be any ready packaged program available at all. In my search, I began to dig deeply into research and the work of others in related fields. And although I'd started with Suzuki, I came out and found the work of Helen-Doron. And he'd worked with the Institutes for the Achievement of Human Potential, and his focus on infants and young children was in line with the premise that a child's brain grows both in size and the number of neural connections until the age of 6. A child comes home from his first day at school and his mother asks, "What did you learn today?" The child replies, "Not enough, I have to go back tomorrow." The cornerstones of child language acquisition in all the textbooks are, I'm talking about child language acquisition, the way a child learns his first language, his mother tongue. They say there, early learning, they have to learn. If a child doesn't learn his mother tongue by the age of 6, he will never learn it properly. Repeated hearing and positive reinforcement. Teaching early, after the age of 7, a child will not know his mother tongue. Repeated hearing, he has to hear the words again and again and again and again and again before he gets them. Positive reinforcement, find every opportunity, a parent should find every opportunity to praise the language produced by the child, and therefore the child will speak. Emphasizing the importance of a good vocabulary, the teacher told her young charges, "Use a word 10 times and it will be yours forever." From somewhere at the back of the room came a small male voice chanting, "Amanda, Amanda, 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 Amanda." I don't know if you got her. I started by working with small groups of children aged 1 to 6 years old. This is the age I wanted to study, and study it I did, indeed. As the brain grows to the age of 6 or 7, research indicated that we were increasing the child's overall abilities to life by learning the extra language at the time when the brain's neurological connections were being made. This excited me. I advertised myself as the teacher when I think of the confidence I had to do so. The first groups were in Carmiel and Ya'ad, a tiny village near Carmiel. I couldn't find any more students to teach. That was it, 3 groups. That's all the people that were willing to come forward. I based the lessons on the concepts of Dr. Suzuki, and I made homemade cassettes. I don't know if all of you have ever seen a cassette. What's in this room? For the children and parents for use during the week. And to make the cassettes, I plonked on the piano while singing. I told stories and I chanted rhymes. They sounded disgusting. And as I said last night, I believe I've destroyed every last one of them. But during the once weekly classes, the children came with the songs and sounds of the language already in their ears, although they didn't know the meaning. They learnt the meaning through flashcards, games, song movements, and lots of fun activities, all in English. It was natural, it was easy, and they learnt it the way they learnt their mother tongue. There weren't any books, and I spent a lot of time with props, and I was really bad at props and still am. So for all of those who are not the fantastic prop makers that we've seen here, find comfort in that. Let others help you with your props. Download props, and you can still be good teachers. And I also recorded things I'd recorded on those tapes. Early one morning, a mother went in to wake up her son. "Wake up, son, it's time to go to school." "But Mom, I don't want to go." "Give me 2 reasons why you don't want to go." "Well, the kids hate me for one, and the teachers hate me too." "Well, that's no reason not to go to school. Come on now and get ready." "Give me 2 reasons why I should go to school." "Well, for one, you're 52 years old, and for the other, you're the principal." The next year, word had got around, and I had a lot more groups to teach. In fact, I had about 200 children the next year. The more I researched, the more excited I became, and the more I was convinced that it was absolutely the correct approach. Parents from all over Israel called me. parents of the 8-year-olds and the 10-year-olds and the 12-year-olds begged me to put their kids in my classes. Amazed, I asked why. Surely the 12-year-olds are learning a lot at school already. But the parents insisted their 6-year-olds already knew more and better English than their 12-year-old. My husband David and I came to the conclusion that it was time for me to duplicate myself. Yeah, in fact, I think whoever's taken over has upgraded. For that, professional materials and teacher training were necessary. Yet people kept telling me that before I poured my life savings into creating the first learning set, I should do market research to see if parents would buy into such a concept. I replied that the market research was useless as parents needed to be explained why this was essential. They didn't know yet. Clearly we had to create the market. It seemed so obvious to me, and I was amazed by the amount of resistance I encountered. I was told repeatedly you can't teach it to young children, or if you could, people wouldn't want it. In addition, it seemed that the more enthusiastic I became, the stronger the negative reaction I got from the national mainstream educational community. The first set came out in 1987, English for All Children, the first teacher training course in the summer of 1987. I'll always remember the first phone call from the first newspaper ad. It was Laurie Fagelston. Who remembers Laurie in this hall? Yeah. I answered the phone in my tiny cramped kitchen. Who remembers my tiny cramped kitchen? Hey, right. Laurie was enthusiastic and said this is what she'd been waiting for, and she signed up on the spot. What a wonderful start. Others needed more persuading, but the first TTCs were underway with the avant-garde would-be teachers who were just waiting for HDE to come along.